Alright, welcome. Sorry it took me so long to make this video. I got lazy, complacent, debated on if I was gonna make it, and then a bunch of other stuff happened. Oh, bought a house, so there's that. And in fact, I bought a house using this exact method that you're about to see here. The thing that I wanted to mention before anything else is shout out to Brandon Turner, the guy from Bigger Pockets. This video is based off of the work that he did like 6 years ago. I'm going to put a thumbnail image right there, so if you want to go ahead and check out the original video, the credit goes to him. He made up the layout, though I would argue, I don't know if he made up the functionality. He probably just made up the visual. But I took his visual, and I added 3 new things that I think would be useful, and I made it more modern for 2026. What are those 3 things? Number 1, I'm going to go over more granular items that you might see at the closing table. So, real estate agent fees and closing costs, things like that. Number 2, I'm going to go over very lightly the cost of materials. Now, my number here is going to say 2023. It's a little dated, but it's not super dated because I'm going to teach you guys and tell you how you can get modern, up-to-date numbers and how these numbers, some of them are still going to be relevant. So keep an eye out for that. And then number 3, I'm going to look at how does private money lending work and all of this. So yeah, those are the things that I added. I cleaned it up a little bit color-wise, and I added some other things that I think are useful for anyone who's just trying to run a deal. So let's get into it. I got to click a button. There we are. All right, cool, sweet. I'm going to trim that part out so you guys don't see the link. I mean, just make your own. If you want this, comment, like the video, I guess. Just let me know. If you want this, I'll just make it a downloadable PDF. I keep all of my stuff on the Google Drive. It's easier to keep all of my documents, legal documents, things that pertain to the portfolio. Maybe I'll go over a video where I kind of show you my organization. And if you see something that is amiss, help me, help you, help me. Let's make it better for both of us. All right. So let's look at this. So this is called the Foursquare analysis, if you haven't already guessed. And here is the link again for Brandon Turner's video. 4 things. We got 4 things in here. We have income. Is that, you can see that visually, right? Oh, I'm going to zoom in my face too. Is that too much? Income. Expenses is the second quadrant. We have cash flow as the third quadrant. And then we have cash on cash, return on investment. So I'm going to go ahead and go over this, and then I'm actually going to add a couple more things to keep you guys thinking. So when you're looking at, I don't even care if it's a vending machine. The same rules apply. It could be a vending machine. It could be your YouTube business. It could be buying a house. It could be selling clothes. It could be anything. Facebook Marketplace. Just think of it this way. Any business is going to have something like this. So what am I talking about? We're going to look at the income. So the income is the thing that comes in, right? Think of like a factory where the money's going to come in. And with real estate, we have rental property. So that's going to be, these are just generic numbers. And I'm going to kind of show you guys these numbers later, but it'll make sense in the end. So we have rental income, and I'm just going to put this at $1,100. This is the average price of the cost of a house in the neighborhood that I personally invest in. Again, your numbers are probably going to look way different if you're investing out in the country, if you're in Louisville, Kentucky. Even if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, it's still going to be different. California, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you have a unit where you charge cost for, maybe there's a separate garage or basement that you charge laundry for as well. Think like multi-families or apartments. We've got storage, vending, pet care, and lawn care. And honestly, this list could go on and on. I mean, imagine if you put vending machines at the place that you're renting out homes. Imagine there's any kind of thing. Public bathrooms. Again, this really only applies if more stuff applies if you're doing multifamily, but again, the rules still apply even if it's a single family. So let's continue. We have expenses. We've got repairs. We have CapEx, which is capital expenditures. And this is the average depreciation on large regular maintenance items. We have property management, if you're paying somebody to manage it for you because you're trying to be a little more hands-off. We've got the cost of mortgage. Now this is the principal only. This is the principal and interest. We have private money lending, which is the new thing I added. And then we also have hard money lending, which can be a little different. And again, I'm going to explain that later. Total expenses, which is obviously just a summation of everything that you see here. And then I'm going to go ahead and move over. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Why is my face so big? I'm sorry. There we go. That's a little more manageable. If something doesn't make sense, this is my first time making this style of video, so if it's crap, bear with me. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and go over to cash flow. And then we've got cash on cash ROI, and we can explain what that is later. We've got down payment, which is going to be how much you put towards the house, closing costs. And I know I'm going through this kind of quickly. I'm going to give you a real world example, and then we're going to plug in all of the data. All of the data is going to make sense. Rehab, blah, 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 maybe miscellaneous, blah, 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 blah. We got some math, cash on cash ROI. I was going to try to explain all of the concepts before I gave you the house. But now that I'm looking back, I feel like it's just going to be overwhelming. So I think the better option is I'm going to show you an example, and then we're going to run through all the numbers in real time. I think that'll serve you better than just me saying, here's what this means, this what this means, this what this means. It's not really going to solidify in your brain unless you internalize what it is or when you need to use it. So sorry about that. I had to make some changes so that way this Excel document would be editable and easier for you to follow. So I'm gonna put on the address line here, I don't know, 123 Easy Street. All right, and then you might put other data, whatever. All right, we think the building cost, remember, we have a number here that was 100K. That's what they're asking for, so we're gonna put the building cost. That means what we're buying for it. We don't know the ARV. ARV stands for after repair value, meaning if this thing were brand spanking new, how much is it going to cost to sell to some first-time home buyer or someone who just wants a home? How much is it going to cost on the market? What's the competitive number? That's what we care about. Okay, so now it's time for the data. Oh, and one other thing I'm going to add in here. I'm just going to add, I mean, you can add this wherever you want. I'm just going to add that this is a 754 square feet. Again, make this pretty as you desire. Now, where do we get this number from? Where are we going to get the income number? That's a great question. So I used two different sources for how much the rental income should be on a property. Number one, we've got common rentals. So let's look at current rental listings in the 40213 area. We're going to put that here. We're going to add this here. All right. And remember, we said the home was a 21754 square feet. So we're going to do 2, 1. And if we can get lucky on the square footage, we will, but we may not get lucky. Let's do 700. And then we're going to cap out at like 15, maybe 1250. Better. Okay. That's a 3-1. That's a 3-1. This is a house for rent. This is a 3-1. Do we got any 2-1s out here? No 2-1s? That's a 3-1. There may not be other 3-1s out here. Let's see. That's too far away. We really want to stay in the same neighborhood if we possibly can. So let me open up the requirements just a little bit more, and you'll see why I'm doing that. So we have an apartment for $759. Well, a house is nicer to live in than an apartment because it offers more privacy, and I mean, you know, it's just better to live in. So what we're gonna do is I can't find anything. Here's a 2-2 for $1,450. Here's another 2-1. Okay, we got a number. 9 days ago, this place is being rented out for $1,400 a month. It's in the 40213 area. It is a 2-bed. It's a 1-bath, 750 square feet. Remember, I'm doing this along with you. I didn't pre-plan any of this. I'm just looking at the website fresh. So we're going to write down 1,400 maybe. There's another website we're going to use, which is called Rentometer. And Rentometer is going to also give you a basic idea for what a property should cost according to their estimations. That's my socials email. If you want to hit me with a business inquiry, email me there. But honestly, it's a junk email. I just made it. All right, so we're going to put in the address I just dropped in. So we're going to drop in this address I just found. We're going to paste that in there. I'm giving this home seller free advertising. And we said it was a 2-1, so we're going to put that there. 2, and bath is a 1 only. 2-bed, 1-bath. It is a house, and then we're going to go ahead and check the rents. All right, so Rentometer is giving me an average of $1,268. The median's about $1,300. If you want to go in the lowest percentile, you're looking on the bottom end, about $1,051. And then on the top end, we're going $1,485. We have current listing. There is a current competitor. I don't want to call it competitor, but you know, another person's renting out their house for $1,400. Okay, so is it too far of a stretch to just go with the median on Rentometer? I don't think it is. So let's go with the median, which is going to be $1,300. Okay, cool. Are we charging any laundry? No. Are we charging storage? No. Vending? No. Pet? No. Lawn care? No. Total income, which is how much we're charging rent, is going to be $1,300. You could charge a pet fee. Let's say they got a pit bull in the house, or they got a bird or a dog or something crazy in there. You know, you're like, hey, by the way, $40 per pet, $20 per pet. You know, something like that. I personally charge 20, though that number may change in the future, but currently me and my business partners, we charge 20 per pet, and that seems pretty fair. Again, you'll decide what's fair to you. And you'll also realize, hey, if it's too strict, then no one's going to rent it out from you. All right, now we got expenses. We've got taxes, home insurance, mortgage insurance, utilities, blah, 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 blah. So I like to use Zillow's calculator for pulling up the taxes and home insurance. So let's go ahead and pull up the Zillow mortgage calculator. You can just type on Google Zillow mortgage calculator. It'll be one of the first things that pulls up. So I'm going to click on that. Now we're making some progress. All right, so we said the home price was $100,000. Down payment, we're not putting 45% down. We're doing 20. It's a conventional loan we're going to get. You don't have to put the zip code down. I normally don't. We're going to do a 30-year loan because it's probably what you're going to get. Your interest rate's not going to be 4%. Sorry to tell you guys. It's probably going to be like 7.5. Private mortgage insurance, again, we're going to say is 0. So what private mortgage insurance is a insurance, that you get if you don't own more than 20% of the property. Fact check me on that. So if you get an FHA loan and you come in at 3.5% down, the whoever's giving you the loan, a bank, a lender, whoever, they're going to say, hey, I want insurance. You don't have a lot of skin in the game. You only have like 3.5% down if you're getting FHA because you're going to live in it yourself and then later, you know, rent it out to somebody a couple years down the road. But if you own less than 20%, they're going to say, hey, we want insurance because you don't have enough skin in the game. We want to feel good about you renting the place. And there's a bunch of other reasons for it, but I'm not going to get into that. It's not applicable for what we're doing now. If you want to see a video on that and more of a breakdown, let me know. We're going to include taxes and insurance. Property tax 1.2, home insurance 945. Property tax is a little expensive. It's not that expensive. Actually, property taxes on a house this big and a house that costs this much is probably around $1,000, my guess. Again, I know that because I live in the area. I live in Louisville, so I know the prices. Home insurance, blah, blah, blah. Again, home insurance, I'm going to give you a number for that. You're going to shop around when you get your number, but these are good basic numbers to pull up. So let's copy those. Let's go ahead and copy these numbers. Let's just round it to $80 for insurance. Say $83 on the taxes. Let's write insurance. And we're going to do P and I, which again is principal and interest. P and I. All right, now we got some numbers. Let's go ahead and plug the bad boys in. Home insurance, we're going to say was about, 80 was the insurance, 83 on the taxes. What else we got? We got $559 on the principal and interest, which is going to be the mortgage, by the way. I'm so freaking distracted. 59. 559. All right, but Sky, you left out a bunch of other data. What about utilities? What about the HOA? What about the lawn care? What the heck is vacancy or repairs or CapEx, you know? Well, you probably know what vacancy is. That's a great question. So mortgage insurance, we said we're not paying because we own at least 20% of the property. I'm assuming you would put 20% down or you did some kind of deal. Maybe you bought the property below market and you didn't need to put 20% of the sale price to have 20% ownership. We've got utilities, which me personally, I like it when the tenant pays the utilities because if I'm paying them, then typically the amount of utility that's being used goes way up. But if the tenant pays it, all of a sudden they realize they don't need to use so much. And I'm the same way. I'm a tenant. This building I'm in right now, I'm a tenant of this building. I get it. So, lawn care, we're going to ask the tenant that they do their own lawn. We have vacancy. Now, vacancy is typically 0.06 of, I'm going to say this. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I see. I did the, don't freaking, okay, there we go. Thank you. Do as I say, not as I do. All right. Typically, vacancy is about 6% of the time. Vacancy is going to be 6% of the time. So, we should cut out 6% of the rental income is going to be saved away for when the property's vacant and, you know, maybe it's because you got to fix it, put another tenant in. Think 6% of the time it's going to be vacant. So we like to set aside a little bit of the money that's coming in for vacancy. The next one's going to be repairs. Now, Brandon Turner's going to say $100 typically starting out. I like to go a little cheaper. I haven't really found a mathematical formula that works best, but on a smaller home, again, this one's like 754 square feet. It's not a lot to fix. You've got, plumbing, HVAC, water heater, HVAC, plumbing, and electricity, blah, blah, blah. The walls, there's a bunch of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to do about $60 for repairs. If you want to have more buffer, then please add more buffer. If you just want to go willy-nilly and do 0, then good luck. It's going to come bite you later. CapEx should not be 0 because eventually the roof will cave in or have problems. Eventually the siding or your tenant's going to destroy. I'm going to put this number not at 100 because the house is rather small. So I'm going to do maybe, 65, 70, 80, something like that. Let's do 75. All right. Property management, we're going to self-manage because we don't have a lot of properties right now. There's no need to hire someone else. You have the time, especially if you just started this deal. Mortgage, we just put down. Private lending, hard money lending. I'm going to recommend, now again, I can't tell you to do anything. Remember, not financial advice. I can't tell you to do anything. But I really don't think it's a good idea for you to borrow someone else's money and then also borrow the bank's money and then go buy a house. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you get screwed or the house blows up or whatever else, you're going to be on the line for a lot. And it's better just to clean your hands, have the peace of mind to do it. However, if you've been doing this for a while and you feel very confident and you know the numbers work and you've got people in your family that are like, man, I want to get into investing and I want to be into real estate, but maybe I don't want to be so hands-on, but I'm cool with lending out money. Great. This is an option for them. I like to lend out my money like a high-yield savings account with liquidity. You'll find out what terms work for you, but for me, I like to give them 12% per year, simple interest. And so basically, if they just park their cash with our business, then that money will grow, and they also have the opportunity to reinvest that cash. So who's private money? Private money is your friends. Private money is people who trust you. Private money should be your small circles or, your family. And then when you get good at the game and you know how to protect yourself and your assets legally, then you should expand that circle. But again, if you're starting out, keep it 0, keep it simple. We've got hard money lending. So let's say, again, another risky thing that I don't think you should do in the front, but you could get a credit card, right? Pull out the cash because you could easily go to, let's say you started a bank account and they give you like 0% financing for the first 12 months on a credit card. You could pull that money out and then invest in a property at 0%, and you just got a 0% loan. You could do that. Not a recommendation right now. When you get good, it's a better idea. When you get good, some people would say it's still not a good idea because you should have skin in the game. Anyway, we've got total expenses up to $935. Okay, we've got income of $1,300. The expenses is $935. So your total positive cash flow is $365. The down payment's going to be 20% of the home sale price. In this formula here, you see it's 0.2 times M8, which is the sale building cost right there. We've got closing costs, and closing costs in the state of Kentucky, roughly 2.5% of the sale price of the home. Could change depending on the state you're in. If you're in California, I think the numbers are way bigger. I don't know. I don't live in that state. Here in Kentucky, it's a little cheaper. I don't think it's the cheapest state, but we do okay. Let's say the property needs some rehab. Let's look at the property, actually. Why am I talking about it as if we can't look at it? Let's look at the house. All right. So here's the thing. Zillow's not showing any photos. This thing could be completely gutted on the inside when you go look at it. It could also look brand spanking new. Odds are it's probably crap. The reason I say that is because there's no photos. If it looked nice, they would show it. So that doesn't mean no. It actually means there's an opportunity to make money on buying this home. So what you're going to do, or what I would recommend, or whatever, consider talking to your agent, who I recommend is also doing real estate because you want to work with agents that do work in real estate. I consider calling an agent and saying, hey, I want to go look at this house. Your real estate agent, who also is invested in real estate, is going to say, yeah, that looks great. Let's go take a look at it. He's going to give you advice. You're going to walk through it. You're going to take photos. And then you're going to do all that. You're going to go to, your real estate agent probably also has numbers. You could also just call around to different people. And what I mean by that is, let's say you walk in this house and it turns out this is screwed up, this is screwed up, this is screwed up. Well, you got to figure out what the cost is to fix those things. I use a local Facebook in contractor group, and there's probably a real estate contractor group in like every major city in the United States. And if there's not, then, either doing it yourself or you got to hire somebody, some business local. If the business doesn't exist at all, wherever you are, you probably live in a tiny town and you should think about opening that business. Anyway, so let's say we go in here and we realize, oh crap, there's like $5,000 of repairs we got to do on this freaking thing. Okay, well that's got to go in there. We're going to do rehab of $5,000. It needs to fix this. It needs a brand new roof, needs new HVAC, needs new wires going through the house. It needs a bunch of stuff. So, and then you did all your things. You called people. 5K is the number that came back. All right. Miscellaneous, no. You didn't do any special deals. You did nothing like that. The total money that it's going to cost you at the closing table, is going to be about $27,000 and $27,500. That's the number that, in this mystical scenario we got going on here. Your cash flow is going to look like $4,380. So that's how much the business made. And we're going to find out what cash on cash ROI is a fancy way of saying, hey, how much money divided by how much investment I did that year. Just that 1 year for that building. And it looks like the return on investment would be about 15, almost 16%. And you're probably thinking to yourself, again, if you watch Brandon Turner's video, you're going to think the same thing. Is 15 good? And that's kind of hard to say. 15 compared to the stock market. If the stock market's at like 12 or 13 on average, then yeah, 15's great. If you could have bought a car wash for this, and a car wash is going to give you 40%, yeah, maybe buy the car wash instead if it makes more sense to do that. So, just think, is this a good number? For me, I think, hey, if the cash on cash ROI is at least, if not better than the stock market on average, then I'm okay with it. So that's pretty much how it works. I'm going to go through a couple other things. Let's go ahead and look at estimated costs. So what if you needed to get a dumpster? Oh, let me back up a little bit. Here's some estimated costs that I think would be also worth it. And again, you should get a contractor that you really know and trust and keep in your circle. Keep them close. We love those guys. Treat them well. We've got projected costs. So what I do is I will have everything that I think is going to cost. I think it's going to cost us a dumpster for $500 to rent it for a couple of days. I think we gotta paint the cabinets. I think we need to rip up the carpet and put LVP in it. I think we gotta do a bunch of stuff. So, you're gonna come up with your rehab total, and then you're gonna have your closing costs. Closing costs are gonna look like this, by the way. You're gonna have title insurance. You're gonna get doc preparation. When you look at your settlement, I'm gonna show a picture on screen for an example settlement when you close at an attorney. It's gonna be on screen. We got recording fees for the mortgage. We have the title closing fee, and that's going to be a certain number. And then what I typically do is I say, hey, closing costs are going to equal this number. And you want to make sure that when you buy the next house, so let's say you got good on this one, and then you buy the next one, well, you want to make sure, hey, was that number accurate? Can I actually save a little bit more? Do I need to budget more? And you'll find out where the market makes sense for you. And then when you're working on the property, you're going to come back and then write down, hey, am I on budget? Am I on budget for all the things that I'm paying for? Or shoot, dude, we ended up needing the dumpster for an extra week. Turns out we actually needed $1,000 for the dumpster this time. Or hey, you know what? We actually didn't need to frame the windows. We ended up getting, we had left over from the last time we did this. So we spent $0 on the framing, saved us $600. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to find ways that it makes sense for you. Yeah. Or let's say you get a quote from a contractor when you get them to work on the house. You budgeted $8K to fix the house. Let's say to replace the AC unit. But he said, hey, actually HVAC's only going to cost us $6. And I'm like, okay, great. The other $2K you can put into quality of life, or you can just say, hey, meaning you can make the property better, or you can just save that $2K for another day and use it to buy another property. I also like to write down what the actual cost of the rehab has been. This shouldn't say projected. This should say actual. Actual cost. Cool. All right, moving right along. And again, do not murder me. This is a little dated. If you're a contractor and you're looking at this and you're like, good luck. This is a little dated. Don't come after me. Relax. You're going to have general cost for material, and then you're going to have general cost for labor. A lot of times when I call a contractor, I say, hey, how much does it cost, bottom line, labor and material, to do X, to replace the carpet on 750 square foot? And sometimes they'll say a couple things. They'll typically say one of two things that I've noticed. They're going to say, it's going to cost us about X, or number two, they're going to say, hey, we can't give you a number because we have to look at it in person because there might be other factors that impact the cost before we can give you an accurate number. They don't want to give you a wrong number and say, hey, it's going to cost X when really it costs Y. You can kind of like wiggle room that a little bit with the contractor if you say, hey, can you just give me ballpark? Even if you found something, just give me ballpark. Like, here's the size of my roof. Here's the amount of square footage it takes up. Again, just give me a ballpark. I don't know if it needs new stuff underneath. Maybe it just needs the new material on top. I don't know. But yeah. Okay. Private money is a little bit more dangerous on the front end, but when you get good at this game, that it becomes like a godsend on the other half. So again, your first couple of deals, I really don't recommend doing this. Yeah, but let's say you're a couple of houses down and you're like, all right, I feel pretty good. Let's go ahead and add some private money, guys, because I'm tired of raising my own funds. It takes too long for me to raise my own funds to buy property when I could easily just crowdsource it and then do that and then give them some return on the back end for helping me buy it. So everybody wins. And let's say he's going to go ahead and John Smith is like, you know what, Sky, I feel good about investing $1,000 and I want you to hold it for a year. I'm going to give him $120 again. Or sorry, excuse me. I'm going to give him a monthly payout of $10. If he wants it at the end of the year and he keeps reinvesting, then the number changes. That's how I'm doing it. But again, make your deal however you want. If you want to do a deal where you're like, hey, I'll give you 15% a year from now, just at the end of the year, that's your deal. You create your terms. You're the bank. He's the bank, and he's negotiating with you, the borrower, as to what's fair. We've got compound simple interest. You could do the math. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Let me know if there's anything else you think I missed. If you want me to go over, if you want me to go more granular on material costs, if you want me to go, if there was something you didn't get, I don't know, if you disagree about something, if there's something that I missed, please let me know and we'll do it better. But again, this is a great tool for looking at how to buy a property. Again, it kind of works with this property. I mean, shoot, not this. It works with, there we go. Oh, duh. It kind of works. What happens if we show up to this property and it turns out, hey, they just need paint and they just need new flooring, or they just need and you already had flooring, or they just need paint and this and that. Or turns out it's a hoarder house and all we got to do is just throw it in a $500 dumpster and it's ready to go. You never really know. So you got to walk the freaking thing. You don't know yet. And then, and if your rehab costs go way down, then great. Cash on cash ROI looks great. One more thing I think you should do. I forgot to mention this, my fault. We should look at ARV. This is really important. Now remember earlier I said ARV is average repair value of the home. You do not want to buy a home. How do I say this? You don't want to buy a home if you're overpaying. Duh. You should, as an investor, you shouldn't overpay. First-time home buyers and people who want to live in a house will overpay. You do not overpay. That's typically not a good idea. Unless you're in a crazy appreciating market and you're like, dude, this thing's going to triple in like a year from now because they just built X and tons of traffic and tons of businesses and jobs are going to come through, then maybe it's a good idea. This is your first deal, don't overcomplicate it. But again, ARV is going to let us know, hey, this is the correct house. This is the correct price that they're charging. Because you want to make sure that they don't overcharge us for this price. So yeah, let's look at that and then we'll close it off. Actually, I'm going to make one more point after this, but let's look at this first. So now we're going to look at average sold listings in the 40213 area. Now we said that this is a 21754 square foot. So you guessed it. That's what we're going to freaking do, baby. We're going to do a 2-1 exact match on the bed. And why exact match? Because we want to make sure we're looking for comps, comparables, things that look like this house. And then we're gonna go ahead and look at square footage. We want everything up to probably 1,000 square feet. Minimum is gonna be 500. One more thing, and this is kind of important. You should start with the last 12 months. If you go before the last 12 months, you know, a year, 2 years ago, well, the market could have changed. Maybe, you know, the mortgage rate on houses is now 15%. So now a bunch of houses are selling for way cheaper. Maybe the market crashed. Maybe mortgage rates are now cheaper and you should actually expect a higher number. Again, the most accurate is going to be within the last 12 months. If you can't find something, go to 24, but again, 12 months is a safe bet. So, look at this. We've got several houses in this area that we should look at. So let's look at our comps. All right, comp number one, $200,000, 200K for a 2-1, 864. So it's a little bit bigger of a house, but that's one comp. Let's look at another one. All right, we got 165, 165K. It is another 2-1, and it is a little bigger. We're getting a little bit of discrepancy in the market. Let's keep looking. We've got 175. That one's almost 1,000. I don't like that. 832. Okay. So we're gonna 191K. And it's a 2-1. And it's 832 square feet. Let's look at... Okay, here's a good one. This one's the closest I've seen so far. It's a 2-1. It is 177. 0.5, which is kind of a weird number to end on, but they must have done some kind of weird deal. And then they got 808. Maybe they had someone close, like, cover fees or something. I don't know. Cover closing fees. Anyway, so we got 177.5, and we also want to make sure that the house on the inside looks nice, because if we don't want to do a pricing, don't do a comp on a bad house. Don't do that. That's bad. And the house looks nice. Okay, cool. Why do I say this is a great example? Because it's the middle of the lane in terms of pricing. It is the closest to square footage that we got. Now, appraisers, you're going to get an appraisal on the house, and appraisers are going to go by its rent to price for square footage. It's square footage and then something else. It's like average. What are the three things appraisers look for? General condition, structural integrity. Again, this is for ARV. Square footage, lot size, bedroom, bathroom count. There you go. Bedroom, bathroom count's really important. Location and recent comparable sales. That's what they're looking at. Okay, cool. So I think 170, we can even go a little bit more conservative, like slightly more conservative. Let's say the ARV is 175. That's awesome. All right. And why is that awesome? Well, if we have a house and we bought it for $100,000, which means there's definitely something wrong with it, because they're not going to offer it that cheap unless there's something wrong with it. But again, could still be worth your while to fix it. So your rehab's probably not going to look like 1,000, but there's crazy equity in it. So now maybe it's better as an equity play where we don't care so much about cash flow, and maybe you just want to sell it at the end of this as your exit strategy. But again, we have a $100,000 house. Let's say we paid 20%. We got 80, and it looks like the ARV is 175. So we're going to go ahead and minus 175. That's $95,000 of equity. You get this house, you fix it up, you just got $95,000 in equity. That's crazy. That's how you win. Again, not investment advice. I've got one more comment. I know this video was long. I'm sorry. The last thing that we should look at is, okay, what if the deal wasn't good? Let's say the ARV actually was like $120,000. Well, there's a couple things we can change. If we go and we check out this house and it looks like it's a complete hoarder house, the mice and the roaches are eating the walls, and it smells bad, and you got to replace all the flooring, you got to replace the HVAC units, the neighbor stole the AC unit, so you got to put a new condenser outside. They're just a bunch of stuff. You all right? And you come back to this guy and you're like, hey, buddy, be nice. I'm kidding. But like, hey, bro, like this thing, I'm sorry, I can't buy it for $100,000. The best that makes my math make sense. And then you're going to run this deal again with cheaper numbers. And let's say you're like, you know what? Actually, $80,000 makes sense, which $80,000 is going to give you more equity on the on coming out of it. It's going to lower your mortgage, which is nice because you don't need as big of a loan now. But if you say, hey, doesn't really work for me, 100 doesn't work, but we can do 80. Does 80 work for you? And one of three things is probably going to happen. Number one, they're going to say, F off, get lost, never going to happen. Number two, they're going to say yes. Maybe they like that. They're like, you know what? This is the best offer. We're going to say yes. Or number three, they're going to say, let's negotiate. And then you're going to do this thing where you go back and forth. Sorry, actually, there's a fourth option. You're going to negotiate back and forth, and you're going to settle on a price that makes sense for both of you. And then you're going to move on with both of your lives after you buy the house. The fourth thing that could possibly happen is they say no or F off, and then you wait a week, a month. House hasn't moved at all. No one's put in bids. Everybody else got turned down as well. You want to come back to them and say, hey, man, I noticed you haven't sold the house yet. Would you reconsider selling it for this price? And then they might come around and be like, yeah, you know what? Fine. And then you'll be like, great, cool, awesome. Let's get it signed here in like 20, 30 days. You're going to talk to your agent. Agent's going to help you write up the stuff. And then you're hunky-dory. Cool. All right, I'm out of here. I hope that was helpful. There we go. I hope that was helpful. If not, I don't know. I don't know what to do for you. Let me know what I could do better next time, and we'll do it. Peace.